The Vanquish is back, and in the automotive world, that's becoming more generic with every new release. It comes to teach everyone a lesson about true GT values. In times of electrification, Aston Martin developed a completely new V12 engine, and without any help of fancy tech features, they designed a car that's all about the driving experience. Wrapped in Aston Martin's typical package with plenty of style and luxury, it seems it has it all. So, make sure to stay with us as we take a look at one of the last true GTs we're going to see. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your fellow car enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth reviews of the world's most incredible cars. We've got plenty more to explore together. A GT we deserve. From the moment the DBS was retired, and that was some time ago, we've been eagerly waiting for Aston Martin to come back with a flagship GT, one that would put the British automaker back where they belong. It was a tough task, so the company decided to bring back the well-known name, the Vanquish. Those who are unfamiliar with it, if they're already, should know that the British company already launched two of these, one in 2001 and another one 10 years later. Now, the time for the third iteration has come for the most powerful and quickest GT Aston Martin has done yet, positioned above already pretty impressive models like the new DB12. Of course, the first thing to talk about is the styling. And as the Chief Creative Officer, Marek Reichman, said, we can see the past, present, and future in this car. Indeed, one look at it and it is unmistakably an Aston Martin with all those quintessential styling postulates that the British company set decades ago. A long hood, in combination with a super sleek profile, easily puts the new Vanquish at the top tier of the prettiest cars around. But there's more. Besides the obvious tribute paid to the glorious predecessor and the brand's styling approach in general, the new 2025 Aston Martin Vanquish also has a lot of its own, and we may presume that the present Marek Reichman talked about. The iconic grille is there, just like the hood in combination with the low roofline is, but the new Vanquish is longer, with a wheelbase that beats the one of the DB12 by 3.15 inches, and that's particularly visible on the longer distance between the front axle and the A-pillar. Also, the famous grille may feature a familiar shape, but it's bigger. According to the officials, it's 13% bigger compared to the DB12, which allows more fresh air to come into that new V12 engine we'll talk about in a few moments. Another modern touch is a panoramic glass roof, standard in all models, though those looking for more exclusivity can also get a carbon fiber roof. It looks hotter and also saves some weight. Then comes the future part, and in our humble opinion, that's mostly about the rear end design. There you can see some kind of semi-floating structure that Aston Martin calls a shield, a piece of exterior that can be finished in various colors or carbon fiber. It looks cool, it looks futuristic, and it could easily set a new aesthetic postulate in Aston Martin's book. We can't remember we've seen Aston Martin doing something as radical for a very, very long time, maybe since the 1967 DBS. Anyway, futuristic, bold statements continue on the rear end with new taillight design, with light blades that provide a kind of vertical graphic for the first time in a while. Of course, all this gets wrapped up with a nice set of dual exhaust outlets and a massive but elegant rear diffuser. Under the skin. The new 2025 Aston Martin Vanquish closely sticks to the aesthetics of its predecessors, and while that may indicate that other aspects of the design have carried from the earlier models, it's not the case. Under those fancy but familiar-looking carbon fiber body panels is a completely all-new aluminum chassis, which is lighter and stiffer than before. And one of the reasons is the addition of new body stiffening elements as well as a new cross brace. In total, lateral stiffness has been increased by 75% compared to the DBS. The story doesn't end there. There's also a completely new suspension setup, multi-link front and rear of course, Some of the highlights are new Bilstein DTX shocks that allow finer tuning of the damping through 3 drive mode settings: GT, Sport, and Sport Plus, while the steering system has been redesigned as well in order to provide better feedback from the road. Of course, all these things wouldn't mean much without a proper braking force, and to achieve that, the British engineers installed carbon ceramic units standard in all models. Massive 16.1-inch rotors can be found up front, while the rear brakes come with 14.2-inch units. As for the wheels, 21-inch alloys are standard, and they come coupled with specially designed Pirelli P0 tires, which not only ensure excellent grip, but also use a kind of sound-deadening material for noise cancellation, all to serve the real purpose of this Gran Turismo, and that would be transport not just in high speed, but in comfort as well. Interior design. As you may presume, the new Vanquish comes exclusively as a 2-seater, and for now, the coupe is the only version that arrived. But since Vanquish had its convertible counterparts in the past, we see no reason why something similar wouldn't appear in the relatively near future. But that's something we can discuss in months to come. For now, let's focus on what Aston Martin has brought to us, and that would be a beautifully crafted interior that, as you'd expect from a British design school, perfectly blends classic aesthetics with modern tech. Speaking of modern tech, Aston Martin recently finally got rid of that ancient Mercedes-Benz sourced infotainment system and now offers its own, much better interface. Indeed, the Vanquish has all the latest tech features you would expect, but everything has been done with taste. There's no word about screens being oversized or anything like that. No, they perfectly fit the company's otherwise conservative aesthetic approach. And what's particularly to like, at least in our case, is the fact that the cabin isn't fully digitalized. Instead, a solid portion of physical controls are still there. Knobs and buttons are all around the cabin, in place for control of the most important driver-focused items. Drive modes, electronic stability programs, active exhaust, and other driver-focused items are still controlled with physical buttons, and we can't explain how refreshing this looks in our eyes. Of course, Aston Martin offers an impressive range of customization options, but no matter the choice, the material and build quality are top-notch. Whether it's about the leather or that already mentioned massive glass roof, which can be replaced with carbon fiber if you want to save another 23 pounds. A 12-cylinder legacy. As usual, we've saved the best for last. And we can say we felt a big relief when we found out that Aston Martin is about to continue its 12-cylinder legacy. In days when the whole automotive world is leaning towards electrification, and even the most prestigious manufacturers go for more efficient, aka smaller displacement solutions, Aston Martin remains true to its nature. Once again, it brings us a 12-cylinder symphony, also more powerful than ever before in a front-engine Aston Martin. At first, 5.2 liters may sound familiar, but it's not the same 5.2-liter engine we've been seeing in previous models. No, this one comes as a logical outcome of the company's decision to hire Roberto Fedeli, the ex-Ferrari technical director, 2 years ago. On this V12, everything is new, says Fedeli. The engine block has been strengthened, while the cylinder heads have been redesigned and now come with new intake and exhaust, as well as repositioned spark plugs. The camshaft is new, just like the combustion chambers. Finally, the new turbochargers, more responsive and 15% faster than before, thanks to the intelligent wastegate system that creates the so-called boost reverse, practically accumulating boost pressure at part throttle. Technicalities aside, all this means more power and better performance. The new engine is rated at 824 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque, which is enough for a top speed of 214 miles per hour. 0 to 60 takes around 3.2 seconds, while reaching 100 miles per hour is possible in just a tiny bit over 6 seconds. And you know what's the most impressive thing? It's the fact that Aston Martin achieved all this in a pretty old-school way. Compared to key competitors, the new Vanquish doesn't have electric motors or any other kind of hybrid assistance. It remains a simple rear-wheel drive GT without things like all-wheel drive, dual clutch transmission, rear axle steering, electrical turbochargers, and all the other things that inevitably lead to over-engineering and just kill the driving experience. Of course, some superfine technology is there, such as the latest iteration of ZF's 8-speed automatic transmission, as well as electric differential that goes from fully open to completely closed in just 135 milliseconds. But altogether, it seems like a perfect blend of traditional approach and new tech that only contributes to an even better driving experience. Launch date and price. Aston Martin's new flagship GT is almost ready to hit the US market, and according to the latest reports, the launch is expected by the end of 2024. As for the price, base models are expected to go around $429,000. What do you think of the new 2025 Aston Martin Vanquish? Is this the GT we've all been waiting for? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.